Our third storyteller tonight is new to Cincinnati, having recently moved here from Milwaukee, like during the pandemic recently. She is excited to finally start experiencing the city with her husband now that they are vaccinated. By day, she leads the marketing department of a large corporate law firm. To overcome her fear of public speaking, she began taking improv classes, which led to stand-up and now storytelling. Please welcome Julie Cole.
Well, as long as I can remember, my children have wanted a dog. One day, when my son Ben was probably 4, we were on his way to daycare, and we were stopped at a stoplight. He was strapped in his little car seat, and he was just staring out the window at this man walking his dog. And he turned to me and he said, "Why can't we have a dog?" Now, he did ask this question almost daily. And I calmly repeated the answer. I said, "Honey, you know why we can't have a dog. Mommy is allergic to the dog. It will make me sick." He didn't say anything. He just turned and continued to look at the man and the dog. The light changed. We pulled away. And then he turned back again and he said, "Well, when you die, can I get a dog?" Yeah. After I dropped him off at daycare, I cried all the way to work. I mean, we were incredibly close. But he had asked a lot about a dog, but he had never asked about my death, which made me wonder if someone said to him, "Ben, you can have a dog or you can have a mom," he might need a moment to think about it. The other thing that I didn't fully appreciate at the time is I was taking the fall for our lack of a dog. I mean, sure, I did have allergies and they were somewhat severe. But I knew people with allergies who had dogs. I mean, there were medications for that. The real reason we didn't have a dog was because my husband hated dogs. As long as we were going to be married, there would be no dogs. Well, in 2004, I didn't want to be married. It had nothing to do with dogs and everything to do with his Jekyll Hyde personality and the effect that it was having on me and the kids. Now, as far as divorces go, this was a messy one with all the trimmings. Ben was now 14, my daughter Abby was 10, and I was consumed with guilt because I couldn't shield them from the chaos. So to balance the drama, I tried to do little things. I left work early, I made their favorite meals, tried to play more board games. But they had a better idea. One night they came into my room and they said, "Mom, we need a dog. A dog will keep us company while you're at work. A dog will teach us responsibility." And I thought, a dog? That is a brilliant idea. I was all about creating new beginnings, and a dog seemed like the first step. But we had some complications. We did need a hypoallergenic breed, and that very much limited our options. And then secondly, the divorce had decimated my finances. I couldn't afford a hypoallergenic pure breed. But then fate and a friend intervened. She had a Wheaten Terrier, which is hypoallergenic, and it was having puppies. She talked to the breeder and they agreed that we could have one of the female puppies for free if we agreed to have her bred in the future. We instantly agreed. After much deliberation, we named her Zoe and we brought her home when she was 10 weeks old. Now, since we had never really had a dog, we didn't know what to expect. For me, it was sort of like bringing home another newborn. The lack of sleep, the constant pooping and peeing, but a sudden love so deep it surprises you. I knew that Zoe wasn't going to erase Ben and Abby's sadness, but I was hoping she might minimize it. And in that first week, I saw what happened. Zoe was distressed being away from her mother in the litter and was whining and barking, and Ben and Abby surrounded her crate. They did everything to make her feel comfortable and adapt, and she did. So suddenly our house just has this new energy and life to it. We have a dog, we have a purpose, And then it all changed in an instant. It was a Sunday afternoon. The kids were in the living room with Zoe playing. I was in the family room reading on the couch. Zoe comes running down the hallway, scampering into the family room. She comes to the couch and she starts jumping, insistent that I get up. Well, I leaned over to scoop her up into my arms at the same moment she jumped. And that's when I felt it, the piercing pain of her teeth in my lower lip. Now, it wasn't a crime scene, but there was red, sticky blood everywhere. My face, chest, the couch, the floor, in Zoe's black muzzle. The kids were old enough to drive, or excuse me, the kids were old enough to stay home, but not to drive. So I just grabbed a roll of paper towels to compress the bleeding, got in my car, and drove to the nearest emergency room. It was about 3 hours later, I arrived home to hugs and kisses from Ben and Abby and a very sheepish welcome from Zoe. They had cleaned up everything. Zoe, all the blood. If it wasn't for the 4 stitches in my bottom lip, you'd never know anything had happened. It was about dinner time then, so I put a pot of spaghetti on to boil when the doorbell rang. I looked out the window and I saw 2 police officers standing on our front porch. And I thought, maybe there's been a burglary or something. So I opened the door and the older officer says, "Ma'am, we're here about the vicious dog attack." And I was like, "Vicious? Zoe?" I tried to explain that Zoe was just playful and this was a freak accident, but they were having trouble hearing me with my swollen, stitched lip. But then my head began to spin. They went on to say that it is the policy of hospitals or emergency rooms to report any dog bites. And it was the city's rule to euthanize vicious dogs. They wanted me to surrender Zoe right there. I could hear Ben and Abby's muffled cries in the other room. My own throat was starting to get really tight. And I don't know how I did it, but I convinced them to come back tomorrow. When I got to Ben and Abby, they were distraught. Ben declared if they killed Zoe, he would kill himself. And Abby said we should all just run away tonight. And Zoe just continued to squeeze in between them. Now, I knew that Ben wasn't suicidal and that Abby probably wouldn't run away, but I had seen those 2 kids smile more in 1 week than I had the entire year. And there was no way anybody was going to take away Zoe. So I called off work, took a vacation day the following day because I knew I had 24 hours to solve this, and I enlisted my village. I called the breeder, I called the vet, I called my friends, we did internet research, and we found it, the provision that said that puppies under 12 weeks old were exempt from the statute. Zoe was 11 weeks old. So I faxed, because this is 2004 and we still faxed, the fine print to the police showing them how Zoe had escaped her near-death experience. After that, things calmed down. Zoe calmed down, we calmed down. The divorce was over. My ex moved out of state. And the kids were home alone more, but I didn't feel like they were home alone. They weren't really home alone because Abby called me one day at work. She had just gotten home from school and she was crying about some mean girl drama. And my first instinct was, oh, I need to leave to be there to comfort her. And she said, no, it's okay, Mom. I'm here with Zoe. We're cuddled up on the couch. Okay. We did honor our commitment to have Zoe bred. And while we didn't get to keep any of her puppies, we got to watch her mother them. I started dating and Zoe was my protector because dogs are the best judge of character. Zoe and I both liked Tom. Now, Tom had dogs growing up, but didn't have one right now, so he welcomed Zoe with open arms. He did many things to win my heart. Taught Abby how to drive when she was 16, helped Ben tie a tie for his senior prom. But picking up Zoe's poop without ever complaining, that really sealed the deal. So Tom, Zoe, and I got used to married life in a quieter house because at this point, the kids had graduated high school and were off at college. It was just the 3 of us, and we had a nightly ritual where we would have dinner and then we would take a walk. Now, Zoe at this point is getting old, but people are still confusing her for a puppy because of her playful demeanor. Until last year, Zoe had a stroke and she couldn't walk or stand. We were all surrounding her at the vet's office, a complete blubbering mess. I looked down at the table at this furry 35-pound body, and I thought, we are losing so much more than a dog. I mean, sure, we had saved Zoe from the biting incident, but for the last 15 years, she had saved us with her comfort and companionship. She had this innate sense to detect sadness. She could hear the slightest quiver in your voice, and she'd be right there by your side. And if you would let her, she would lick the tears off of your face. But today there was a flood of tears, and she couldn't comfort us, and we couldn't save her. We all felt helpless. She looked up with her warm brown eyes, and they locked mine. And I thought, I just need to say it. I need to let her know. So I told her how much love she had brought to our family, how she had helped us heal, and it was okay to go. I said heaven was waiting for her with this big green field and grass that she could roll in, and there would be plenty of fuzzy blankets that she could rearrange, and there'd be an endless supply of liver sausage and salami. And then I leaned down and I kissed her one last time. Thanks.
That as well. But first,